Guys, what is up? Pat here with an all new video. I hope you are all doing amazing. I'm really happy to be back. It's been about a week that I haven't posted. I had a bunch of stuff going on. I was in Quebec City for the weekend for my anniversary. I had to help my roommate move out, so it was super hectic, all kinds of stuff like that. It was like going non-stop all around the clock. Still kept the same routine that I've been doing, obviously, waking up early, gym, all that stuff. I started to film a little bit of footage, so I'm going to get like a big compilation together so I can start showing you guys some of my workouts and the way I like to exercise and the techniques I have. So that'll be coming pretty soon. I'm just trying to get a lot of footage together, see how I can make a better compilation so you guys can see maybe a little bit of everything, not just like one exercise at a time or stuff like that. So that's going to take a bit of time. I hope you all have been doing great, honestly, sticking to your routines, training hard, dieting, whatever it is you guys are getting into. I want to fuel that motivation. And I'm going to just go over a little bit today how my weekend was. I'm going to show a little bit of footage. I don't have a ton of pictures because I like to enjoy the moment a lot more than just taking pictures for later. But I did take a couple. We had a couple of sightseeing places. We went to go the Momahasi Falls. We went to go visit Chateau Frontenac. So a bunch of historic places in Quebec that I've never been in my life. So I was super excited to go see. I've never been there, and it was awesome. So I also want to talk in this week's video about another Huberman Lab podcast that I listen to. It's all about making and breaking habit formation. A lot of vast information. It's crazy. It's an hour and a half. I highly recommend that you guys listen to this because it's really, really interesting the way how he goes into different phases of the day, how everything really, really correlates to if you have everything set up in the right kind of way and you try to do your best to set those kind of habits. We'll get into that a little bit later, but setting habits that are harder to do and have a lot of resistance against your limbic focus. Well, your limbic friction, I should say. Well, then you want to set those in the phase 1 part of the day. Explain why later. Phase 2 and phase 3 goes into depth on all kinds of different things like that. I'm going to link it in the description box below. Honestly, great. One of the best podcasts I've listened to in a while. So I wanted to share this with you guys. Going a little bit like all the things that I've been doing myself and how it's helped me to keep those habits, not stopping this routine. And it's actually kind of interesting how like I see all the things that he's been doing and he's talking about. It's what I've been doing actually every single day to try to help me get those habits concrete into my routine and not stopping. So we're going to go a little bit into that today. I also want to talk about, it's going to be coming in the next week's video. It's going to be how I already have my next guest. Excited to get him on. He works with me actually. He's one of the mechanics at my work. He's very, very driven. He's hardworking. He's overall like one of the best guys I know. He's like a super, super nice person, always there to help people out. I really think he's going to be a good, interesting guest to have on here, just so he can share his story a little bit, how he's been up and coming, working hard for like the last X years. Like he's been, as long as I've known him, he's been a grinder and he hasn't stopped. So I'm really excited to get him on, try to get his take and see what he has to share with all you guys. So I'm super excited to get that started. So for today, we're just going to go into that podcast. I'm going to share some footage of Quebec City where we went this weekend. Sorry, I cut that short. Still getting used to all this filming and editing and stuff like that. So like I was saying, we're going to just like a couple of news things in my life and what's going on. I actually sold my car, so now we're rolling with just my girlfriend's car. Big expense, and her car is already paid off. I want to start investing my money and trying to get like a better future in terms of buying plexes, stuff like that. I really want to break the gate. And honestly, like a new car with like all that kind of weight, it's tough to do. So instead of having a depreciating value, much better that I take that money, not be in debt, and start putting it proactively elsewhere. Try to get, like I said, into property, all kinds of different stuff. That'll come at a later time in the vlog when I get stuff up and running. So like I said, let's get into the podcast. So let's get into this podcast for this week. I'm going to give you guys a little bit of information that I've kind of taken down, jotted down some notes that I found interesting. Obviously, I'm going to leave you the link in the description so you guys can see everything for yourself. I want to give you all the information that I have that I think is like super interesting. I want to try to help you guys out in any way that I can in terms of if it's like getting your fitness goals intact, if it's like setting up routines that you can try to break down these habits and make sure that they solidify. It's kind of interesting, honestly, all about the habit forming and breaking. So getting into it, there's two different types of habits. So there's identity-based habits and there's immediate goal-based habits. So the immediate goal-based habits is basically where you're gonna set yourself like, okay, I want to go jogging for 60 minutes 4 times a week. So that's kind of like a reward every time, like a specific outcome that you're going to be doing it. The second kind of habits are going to be the identity habits. So basically like telling yourself is going to be more like interpersonal, and it's going to be telling yourself, okay, well, I want to be an athlete, and everything around you starts to fall into place of, okay, I'm going to be an athlete, whether it's like training 6 times a week, eating everything healthy, and it's like a whole like encompasses the fact that you want to do this. Super interesting. When they say, like, a lot of people talk about how many days it takes to form a habit. There's been a couple of people that go from anywhere from like 18 to 21 to 30. Actually, a lot of the literature is suggesting that it's going to be anywhere from 18 to 250 days. All of these things are really highly like dependent on the person and the habit that they're trying to form. Highly variable. They tend to say that it becomes like a really like solidified habit when you're doing it 85% of the time, and also when it takes less mental effort for you to get it done. During phase 1, this is between 0 and 8 hours of being awake. This is when your body is really in the most heightened state possible. You have like all the chemical releases like dopamine, norepinephrine. This is when you want to kind of set the hardest kind of habits possible, the ones that you have the most kind of trouble sticking to, or the ones that are going to create like you're going to use the most amount of limbic friction. Anything, it could be really anything that you have trouble sticking to. This is going to be the best kind of zone or phase rather that you have the higher chance to get it done and solidify that as a habit. There's a lot of habits too that I like to use, especially in the phase 1, where it's going to be more regulated to heightening that dopamine release and cortisol levels so that you'll stay in a higher mental state of focus. And basically, it's anything like from taking my cold shower in the morning, especially right before the gym, anything like getting sunlight in your eyes early in the morning. Those are going to help. All those things are going to help you to focus and stay at that heightened level to get those habits done during that time. Phase 2, this is between 9 and 14 hours of being awake. During this phase, this is where your dopamine, norepinephrine, and cortisol levels are going to start going lower, and the serotonin is going to rise. So during this phase, you're still alert and present, but it's going to be a little bit later in the day that you won't be as focused. So you try to set habits that aren't as difficult to stick to, just to give yourself as much of a chance as possible to make sure that it stays solidified. You can do things like sauna, hot showers. A lot of people take like ashwagandha too. These things are gonna try to like lower the cortisol levels. Same thing with the sunlight. You can get a little bit of sunlight more in the afternoon, and it's all gonna help you out in that regard. Phase 3 is between 16 to 24 hours of being awake. In this phase, you kind of want to like dim down a little bit. You want to try to taper off anything kind of like caffeine, and you don't want to go anything like that. Even in phase 2 is where like at the beginning of phase 2, you try to like limit the amount of caffeine. Phase 3 is all about setting up for a good night's sleep. So a good night's sleep is going to help you rewire and recover your whole body, muscle tissue, everything properly so that you can solidify all your habits as much as you can for the next day going forward. So you try to get little like light, especially artificial light, anything like that, dim areas. I like to only have like a night light near like on the nightstand while I read my book before bed, trying to avoid like screen time anywhere like an hour to 90 minutes like before going to sleep. Find it really helps you to get into the different cycles properly, and it'll help you adjust so that you can actually get enough sleep in each cycle so that you can rewire, you can form those habits more likely, and also recover the most amount. Like you want it to be as optimal as you can, especially going forward. So a couple things to remember regarding the different phases of the day. Phase 1, when you have the higher dopamine levels, higher cortisol levels and everything like that. You want to use as many habits as you can that require more limbic friction, so that are harder to solidify, especially when you're going to be at those heightened senses during those waking hours of the day. Phase 2, you want to kind of taper off. You're still going to be alert, but it's not going to be as high as a focus. So you want to try to take a little bit of like easier habits so that at least they can stick and they require less friction to use. And obviously phase 3 is going to be any way possible that you can use to try to get your body into a better state of sleep. So going through the cycles properly, getting to bed at a decent hour, getting anywhere from like the range is like from 6.5 to like 8 hours of sleep. You want to really give your body the best chance possible to try to set in those habit structures. So that's one of the things that a couple of things that I learned. So now that we went over the podcast, I just want to take a couple of seconds. I'm just going to post some pictures from my trip to Quebec. Like I said, it was an amazing weekend. These are places I've never seen in my entire life, and I've lived in Quebec forever. So it's crazy. I haven't seen them, but they're mesmerizing places. I hope you guys enjoy them. I'm going to show you a couple pictures now. Hope you enjoy. The funicular, baby.
Funicular.
Oh, actually.
We're going up.
Hello.
Is it still recording? Yeah, it is. We're going up.
Are we recording? Whoa! The funicular ride.
Ooh,
Oh
wait,
my
It
god!
goes fast.
Ah!
I feel like it went slower last time. What is this? Is this a real building? Someone living?
Ah!
Honey.
I'm terrified!
It's a little rockety. I'm filming. Look at all that frozen water. Oh, it's actually moving. Patty.
I hope you guys had a great week and you enjoyed this video. I'm going to obviously be launching every single week now and a little bit more stable after like the whole weekend I just had. Can't wait to, like I said, get my friend over here and start going, hearing his story and his whole life story. I really think you guys will enjoy that episode a lot. And I hope you guys are all well. Cheers.